All right, you can get mad at me a little bit on this one. I'm going to tell you when I left it, when they lost me. The swamp fight match closed this sad chapter in American wrestling history. Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, and Corey Graves' pitch to this match, I think, summed up the whole thing. He actually said, and I quote, "The question on everyone's mind, what sort of unforeseen terror is lurking beneath the surface of the brackish waters?"
That was on everyone's mind.
And, you know, if this was a Universal International picture from 1957, or possibly a William Castle production from the 60s, maybe maybe they could have even had like a fucking tingler thing on our seats, wired to our seats, where every time that the fucking, you saw a snake in the swamp, you felt something bite you or whatever. That'd be a William Castle fucking gimmick, because there wasn't anything to do with wrestling in this. It's all movies. They're frustrated fucking movie actors, movie writers, movie producers. And now we know why they're frustrated, because they're not any fucking good at it. So it opens with Bray Wyatt in a rocker rocking in the middle of the swamp when Braun Strowman pulls up in his SUV. And I hope it's not a rental, because it voids your insurance if you're driving in the swamp. At least it hurts. Braun Strowman says, "I'm home," and then the lights go out. The lights go out in a swamp. That happens to me all the time whenever I go down to the swamp. The lights went out, and when the lights came back on, Bray Wyatt had disappeared. And right then, I was going to invoke the teleportation rule. But I thought, okay, I'm not going to, because first off, we're not supposed to take this seriously. This is wrestling, supposed to be silly and fun. And secondly, he didn't actually teleport. The lights were out. He could have gotten up and walked off. We'll just discuss the loophole of how the lights got turned off in a swamp at a later date. So then they start the spooky music and the movie fight. And during them fighting, it cut to a clip of Bray Wyatt in the funhouse cheering Braun Strowman on while Bray Wyatt was fighting Braun Strowman in the swamp. And then Braun Strowman, I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, am I lying about any of this?
No, you're telling the truth about exactly what sort of garbage we saw.
Okay, Braun Strowman gets hit from behind by a shovel and goes down and looks up, and he sees who hit him. Brian, you don't have to guess because you saw it, but just for the sake of me saying this for the people that may not have seen this fucking four-finger stinker, this goddamn back alley abortion of a wrestling program, who hit Braun Strowman? Guess who hit Braun Strowman, folks? I'll tell you who hit Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman hit Braun Strowman. He looks up and sees Braun Strowman with the shovel because of... He's a mental goddamn case. I don't know why, because. And right then, I couldn't find the remote. And I got to see that Braun Strowman woke up after being knocked out with the shovel, chained to a chair in a cabin. Or, as New Jack once said, chained in the bowels of a slave ship. Braun Strowman was chained to a chair in a log cabin. And that's when I said, I'm done. Fuck these guys. Fuck these alleged writers. Fuck this whole company. This would have made me ashamed to ever be a part of wrestling, but this isn't wrestling. So I'm not ashamed to have ever been a part of wrestling. I would have been ashamed to ever be a part of whatever the fuck these people just did. And they should be ashamed to call themselves wrestlers. But it didn't make me ashamed of wrestling because there was no aspect of wrestling involved in this. If Vince likes it, he needs to take that cognitive test that old fucking President Pigshit has taken, where he can identify the elephant from the donkey. Or if Bruce was in favor of this, I think he's been to rehab before. Somebody needs to fucking check and see if Bruce is falling off the wagon. Or potentially, it may be that he's had bad health. Maybe he's on some kind of heart medicine that's causing him to have psychotic episodes. Maybe he's on that hydrochloroquine. Braun Strowman, I'm pretty sure we've established, is a fucking idiot and would have never made it 15 minutes in the real wrestling business because he'd understand how it worked or how it's supposed to work. Bray Wyatt, I think I'm the most disappointed in of all of them because, as I mentioned before, Blackjack Mulligan, I only met him a few times, but from what Ric Flair and other people have told me about him, he would be spinning in his grave right now at the thought of his business being portrayed in this way. So what else happened after he was chained in the cabin and I said, fuck this, I'm done? Was there anything else of note?
Of note, that's it's hard to say. At some point, a guy came out and attacked Braun Strowman after he got out of the chair. Don't know who the guy is, but then he was lit on fire and he ran off in flames.
Wait a minute, Braun Strowman or the guy
No, the stunt man that they hired to be a generic Bray Wyatt disciple.
ran off in flames.
I gotta be honest, I didn't turn it off like you did, but I just stopped caring and stopped paying close attention. So every now and then I would look up. The end of the pay-per-view had Braun Strowman, I don't know if it was a raft or a little boat, but he's on the water and the little credits come up. Copyright World Wrestling Entertainment or whatever.
They didn't do the goddamn Friday the 13th body out of the fucking water.
That's exactly what they did.
Fucking hell.
And then Bray Wyatt jumped out of the water, pulling him into the water, and then the water all went red.
And so did their ink. As soon as they aired this, and people started canceling their network subscriptions. Fuck. So that was that. An eye for an eye. I think we've put to bed now, or put to rest, any accusations that have been cast our way that we favor the WWF over AEW, when in actuality, neither one of them worth a fucking shit. Neither one of them are worth a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
I will tell you this. I find AEW, and again, I killed them this past week. I hated that show on Wednesday night last week. They are much less offensive than WWE to a wrestling fan.
Well, okay, the way you phrased that, I will agree with that. Because AEW is still more offensive to me as a wrestling professional because of I can't say the word talent, because the individuals that they put on national television that are so woefully not ready and look so outlaw and do such goofy shit, it offends me more as a wrestling professional, but I can see where to just an average fan, it might be easier to watch just because you can laugh at it more instead of just shaking your head. I shook my head more. I didn't laugh at anything on this show. It was all just stupid, and what was supposed to be funny wasn't funny. And it was offensive with the eye thing and the whole 9 yards, just cheating people, promising them something you didn't deliver. But nothing's silly or just completely obviously they do obviously phony shit, but they act like they mean it. I don't know which is worse. The guys that are doing obviously phony, stupid shit and trying to act like they mean it, or the guys on the other channel doing the obviously phony shit and laughing while they're doing it because nobody takes it seriously to begin with. I pick it. I don't fucking know.
I think this is worse. This is much worse. The eye for the eye, the swamp fight, Bayley deciding she's the referee and the title seemingly, or at least her friend wins. I don't even remember if there was a title on the line in that match. The other match had a title on.
Oh, no, there was a title on the line in every match.
There was a title on the line in the MVP match. Guy didn't show up, so MVP just walked off with the belt. This whole show was a train wreck. And it is another piece of evidence that Vince McMahon is shot and that Bruce Pritchard is there just to enable this shot old man to continue to stay on top of this company, where everyone in the company or out of the company knows the best thing for the WWE right now would be new management. Because the ratings are down. There's nothing they could point to as a metric that says, you know what, Vince is doing a good job. There's nothing. And in terms of, you can't base wrestling on critical acclaim, because people who are smart fans sometimes like things that work. Sometimes they dislike things that work. But this is just...
That's why whenever you see a smart fan that suddenly gets his own company and gets to book, that's why you get some of the things you get.
That's right. But this is garbage. This is complete and utter garbage. And I don't know how anyone could like it. I don't know how anyone could support it. If it wasn't a business expense for me, I wouldn't have the WWE Network, and I wouldn't watch any of this crap.
You know what? I don't even write it off because I'm so ashamed to let anybody know I actually have it.
It's awful. Just awful. Awful. What a brain trust they have up there.
I thought you were going to try to make me feel better. You're making me feel worse. The fact that AEW can be a better professional wrestling program than anything ought to right there tell you we might as well just fold our fucking tent. Might as well just pack it up and go home. Nobody's even trying anymore. But
more shareholders need to get upset at the way WWE is being run. More shareholders need to speak out and tank that stock for the message to get through. Shameful. Just awful, awful. Television? By the way, the ratings are in the toilet. There's a reason for that. It's not just COVID-19. It's some of the worst television anyone has ever produced. Not just for wrestling, but for television. And even if you want to do some weird cinematic David Lynch style wrestling match, if this is the best you can come up with, because you know what, the Undertaker AJ match, not my thing, but that was done well for what it was.
It worked for what it was and because of who was involved. And this swamp thing was the second Tupelo concession stand brawl a year later that yielded very little in the way of results.
It was the second worst swamp thing I've ever seen.
Goddamn, that first one wasn't too fucking good, that swamp thing. Anyway.
That's exactly right. Awful. Just awful. I apologize to AEW for killing them so hard last week. The show still sucked, but this was a whole new level of suck. The likes of which hopefully we never see again, but we will. Because it's Vince McMahon and his toady, Bruce Pritchard, running a creative team that produces shit like this. Because this is what they think Vince wants. Awful. Garbage.
But now will AEW take the challenge? Will it take the handoff of the baton and say, no, just like Vince said last week? Oh, no way, pal. I can top this. Will they find a way to top this and be even stinkier and rottener? We'll have to find out.
We'll see if Chris Jericho has any more creative input. That may steer that one direction or another.